Welcome in. We've got the two-handed axe, two-handed warhammer build. Finally went through, touched it up a little bit. I'm going to jump right into it. I'm going to cover attribute skills, item choice, consumables. I'll show a little gameplay. As a reminder, there'll be a link down below to a build site. If you want a quick reference anything, people always find that useful. We will be uploading builds on the Outcast site. So let me jump right into it. Again, this is primarily, this does good damage, but it really focuses on frontlining and initiating fights. As I do a lot of group play, outpost rush, wars, that's kind of its role and something I can lead from. So let me hop into the attributes. This is where I'm settled at right now. A lot of you know the 250 strength perk is bugged, or more experienced players do know this. If you don't, it's kind of bugged right now. It'll probably get fixed in the future, so maybe we would push our strength up. As a result, we're not going to go at 250 or above. So you kind of want to keep it just below 250, somewhere above 200. In my case, I went with this. 211 right now, 220 here. As I get more gear, you can float a little bit more to these stats. With 30 con food, I can push up to 250, which isn't too important, but we get all these other perks, which you should at least aim for 200. If you're playing the game leveling up, start with strength, push that up more so to 200, and then build in con as you go later on in the game, as you get higher level. A lot of these are going to give you good defense. Like up to 200s, 20% increase in armor is good. This one's like, it's not that great, 80% damage reduction when full health. It is good as more range is showing up. So if you take like a heavy shot from a mage or an archer, it can be beneficial there. It's not bad. You can't push to 250, so that's that. So that's where we're at with attributes, short and sweet. Skills, we can jump right into. So, start with our great axe, our damage weapon. Hammer is more of our CC control weapon. Not too much damage there in PvP. But at times, maybe I don't know, a little bit. We'll go into that. Start off here, our three active skills. We have Reap, we have Charge over here, and then Gravity Well on the far end. Pretty classic skills here. Execute, pretty slow for PvP, especially in smaller scale. And frankly, in large scale like War, totally worthless. War moves really fast now since Resilient changes. Whirlwind could be interesting next patch. Maelstrom is good. It's definitely a good skill. If you wanted to remove one of these, that would be the one to consider. There are some changes coming next patch, so some of these passes may change. But we'll go for this for now. If changes come, I'll update them on the site. So you can always check back there. I can kind of update this if they would change. So we have Reap. We have all the passes that come along with it. Reap is a skill, does a quick pull. This can hit multiple targets. This boosts its range. This one increases or gives us the heal, which is huge. And this is on both. The first attack and the second attack. This is the second attack passive. So getting this full setup's pretty huge. Up here we have Greed. Light attacks, Great Axe give you 5% damage for 5 seconds. Pretty much a no-brainer for Great Axe. That you're gonna have up a lot. When you do burst combos, which I'll show a little in gameplay at the end, a lot of times we'll go like light, heavy into a Reap for burst. Great Axe attacks against people below half health. More penetration. There are a couple passes in here that are totally worth having, by the way, which I kind of restructured these recently, and I like this. This is where I ended up at. Like Feed gives you more health back on targets below 30. I ended up not taking this. It's kind of nice, but I kind of went for a little more damage in some places. When you make a crit against, heal yourself for 10%. So you do crit a lot. You're aiming for the back a lot with the axe. You'll find a lot in PvP with this. This is really good to have. Frustration. This one kind of questionable, especially this was used more in the tankier meta, but as people are less tanky, you'll see less people blocking. But you will still have a lot of people that block, especially like outpost rush and any kind of flag matches. When people stack on flags, there are opportunities to smash them with a heavy, and you just get this automatically. So if metas ever drop off and there's not much blocking, then that's something that could be taken away, because there's other good spots you could put in here. Keen edge, crit damage, no brainer. This is our charge skill. This is also getting changed with the patch. It won't have unstoppable, it'll have grit, which is a nerf to it. Still very good. This is kind of our mobility skill. Very effective. I keep this and probably still will, because again, I consider this more of an initiation. That's kind of the role I like to play in PvP. Finding a point of attack, and to do that you sometimes need mobility. If you don't need it, like to initiate, it can be used as a good escape or just something to catch up with someone running. This one increases weapon damage based on how far you travel, so it gets a damage boost, and then we can do this to press arm B and swing and deal some extra damage. And then Bloodlust. The Great Bloodlust. This is an amazing passive, super juiced. Gives you move speed, track, and targets, and deal more damage. That's like one of the craziest passes in the game. Mauler's Resolve. If you get hit while holding a Great Axe, below health, gain stamina. I like this one. There's been some clips of this one being bugged, and actually lowering your damage. And frankly, even if it didn't, whatever. You're not heavy attacking a pool of people a lot, so this one's pretty cool. But you got to take one of these to get into the tree. Next up, Enduring Strike. Add grit to your heavies. This is real nice. The big part is it's granting 20% damage reduction while you're heavying. So, super nice there. We have Gravity Well here, which is pretty much our big crowd control tool. This also may have some changes, and it's going to have like a 0.25 root next patch. So we'll see how this changes and how this pans out. Great for grouping people and kind of setting up the fight at a larger sense. This one increased the burst damage by 10% for each person hit, so that scales up. And then we have Unyielding. Allies gain 4 to 5 while standing in your well, which most of the melees usually are. They're kind of converging on the target. Center attention, pretty nice. While holding the axe, if you got more than three targets within 4 meters, you get a flat boost. This one's really nice too. It's pretty much the inverse. You can get reduction. Again, a little more offensive approach there. That's all. That is the Great Axe in detail for you. For our Warhammer, this is more of our CC tool. I used to clear out a lot. I liked it in the Resilient patch. I got rid of it recently. And I love putting in Wrecking Ball instead. It deals with the targets that are a pain in the ass pretty well. But let's go through this. We have Outnumbered, increased absorption by 10% if you have multiple enemies around you. This one, 10% reduction if we're sprinting. This one, 15% damage boost on people affected by Warhammer debuffs. So this is going to come into play a lot. You'll see that. I'll kind of show that a little. This one's huge. Prevailing Spirit heals us off Crowd Crusher abilities. So in this case, it'll just be Shockwave and Path of Destiny. If we had Clear Out, or if you like to use Clear Out, you can heal yourself with that one. You won't heal with Wrecking Ball. Shockwave's huge skill. It's the skill where the guy jumps up and down. And big AoE stun. Not much for damage. Good 2-second stun. Applies good debuffs. Weaken. We're going to have special boots for Rend, which I'll show, which is also very nice. And this just expands its range there. Path of Destiny, pretty sweet skill. Throws out like 3 little AoEs in a line. The passives here will help. They'll stagger. All these things, or all these 2 skills, I should say, apply slow too. So Path of Destiny doing that's very nice. It staggers your target and slows them. It's good for chases. It's good to tear through a crowd that's being hit at that time, like right after a Gravity Well. If you're not shock waving, maybe your Path of Destiny and one or the other, it's going to kind of hit the pile and kind of mess with them and set it up for other people. And this one just reduces cooldown for each target hit. Over here, we have penetration for hammer attacks. This one applies exhaust. This is getting buffed next patch as well. Instead of 15, it's going to be 20%. Reduces their stam regen when you're using anything on them. Good for chase again, or just applying pressure. These two are heavy attack passives. One gives you empower for 4 seconds. The other one is giving us damage reduction while we're doing it. Same as the axe. So in both cases, when we heavy attack, we get a 20% damage reduction with grit, which is pretty nice overall, especially when you're in the mix or you just want to line up a combo. In this case with hammer, you're also giving yourself empower, which we weren't with the great axe. Power through pain, very strong. Deal 35% extra flat damage. Only lasts for 1 second. You have to be in the mess getting hit. It's a very good skill though. We'll probably see more DPS from the Juggernaut tree next patch because they're buffing this stuff. I'm excited to do it. I'll probably come back and do a hammer DPS build. In this case, it still can do damage, but it's primarily focused on CCing and kind of setting up targets. Wrecking Ball, it's another CC skill. It's knocking them down, flattens the enemy. This one gives us Fortify. This is getting buffed from 4 to 7 seconds next patch. So this will be very nice. 7 seconds after Flatten. A Fortify is pretty huge. So stellar skill all around. And this one just spreads it. It's not a huge range, but it can hit multiple targets, especially if they're tight. After a Gravity Well with a Reap, you can kind of bring people together. And you can manage to hit them with that. So a couple of these, a lot of these skills play into each other. Like I just said there, you could Gravity Well. A lot of times you can Gravity Well, go into a pile, immediately jump up and down, stun the targets in the Gravity Well. Sometimes you'll Reap and pull them into it. Kind of depends what you might be fighting with. I love pairing this build up with an Ice Mage. Ice Wall, everything ice right now is pretty overtuned. With that said, even when it's not, it's really the utility they bring, and when you combine the pull, the slow, the inability to dodge with stuns, put it together, you can kill target areas. So you pair this with a Ice Mage, you're gonna have a good time. And just get a healer to carry you both, and you'll be gods. But yeah, there's going to be different combinations of skills. I'll try to showcase a few of them. This kind of covers the skills part. As far as items go, I was going to craft some new stuff, but I figured I'd just kind of show you where I'm at with stuff. I've mostly been saving money. I'm pretty much going to do really high-level legendary crafts, kind of end-to-end game gear, or bust for me. In the meantime, I've just used whatever it was that I had. For those of you that don't know the way kind of armor scaling works, for PvP, it kind of doesn't matter what your armor rating is. For example, some of these pieces I still have like original Covenant gear. You know, in PvP, the armor value is no different. If I have this versus Void Bent, it's all the same. It's kind of stupid, but that's the way armor scaling works right now. What does matter is the traits you have on these, or the perks, and whatever stat boosts you can get from them. So from a higher gear score item, I could get more strength or con, for example. I could get a slightly higher, like resilient. Resilient is still good. It's not doing what it was before, but it's still very good. It's a stat you should focus on. But beyond that, there are like special perks you should look for. For example, Sundering Shockwave, the stun skill. It applies weakened. With this, it also applies rend. It becomes like a high utility skill. These things you want to search out. I will probably put them on the website as well. Specific ones you really want to look for. This axe is very nice. It came with Crippling Reap. I'll take it. I just got a decent one to hold, a decent axe gear score to hold me over. And it just happened to have Reap. So it's pretty nice. This is actually pretty useful. Of all the ones, it's not the ones I would rate the really highest. Probably Sundering Shockwave is probably the highest value of all of these. And looking at our skills down here, the charge one kind of sucks, to be honest. I think it's a refresh if you hit a target at full health, which doesn't make sense. I don't know why you'd charge at a target with full health. The gravity one's pretty well. Gravity well one's pretty good. It returns healing, so I actually have a piece of that, but I don't use it. There it is, because I already have boots. So you can gain a lot of health back from the gravity well. That's pretty good. The stun one's definitely this one. That applying the debuff's really good. The other one I have a piece of that I've tried, and I went through and tried these to make sure they worked, because there's a lot of things that haven't worked in the patches. The ones I'm telling you do work. Okay, so rest assured, I wasted my time to make sure they did before I'd try to waste your time just telling you to use it on the video. This one works. Wrecking balls, penetrate. That'll be more important next patch too, and especially when I get a better hammer. My hammer's not too great right now, but you know, but it works there. And Leeching Path of Destiny. I don't think I have a part for that yet, but that's good. So basically that skill I just did, Path of Destiny, we already have passes that heals in the tree for it. You can get another item as well. Again, I'll put that stuff kind of on the site. And kind of what you want to go for. This is a medium build. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. It's right up there. Optimal way we're going to try to set this up and what I'm trying to build for. I'm just getting my watermark up a little bit because I really don't want to waste money on certain things like Void Bent. Like if you wanted to, if you're building this out early, you could do like Void Bent helm and chest. You could. I'm like a week or two away from getting something as good or better. So, because Void Bent's not like best. It's really good. It's good for kind of how easy it is to get. That's a good way of putting it. But you want to do heavy helm chest, medium gloves and boot, and then your legs you want them to be light. It's going to put you in the medium optimal category. But yeah, you want to gun specific traits like that, and aside from that, resilient is very ideal if you can get it. And I'd probably take things like refreshing or something. There's not too many others. I mean, and frankly, beyond getting two, it's gonna be pretty tough to just get two. Like if you can get something like resilient and sundering shockwave, you're probably keeping that item for good, as long as its gear score is high. So that pretty much covers that. The weapons, rogue, you want to focus on vicious. Keen's good as well. Those you really want to focus on more than like. Wouldn't focus on getting crippling reap. It is really nice though. I don't want to downplay it. A lot of times you reap runners, they're below half. It's like when you're chasing a mage, you've put out a couple hits, he comes out of an entomb, you're probably looking to reap him after the roll dodge. So down here, I'll put some more optimal stuff on the site. There's a lot of variations of good things here. I have keen awareness right now for crit chance. Here's a ring if we want to try slash. I kind of like the crit chance right now. In PvE you wouldn't need the crit chance really. There's multiple good pieces of jewelry, and these are probably the first things I'm going to do legendary clicks for. So these are kind of hold me overs, but they're pretty good. This one's got divine and health. As far as gems you want to put in everything, I flipped a lot of things into aquamarine. Right now, ice is the only thing killing me. Diamonds are, of course, good. And once ice is kind of nerfed next patch, you probably won't have to focus so much on the aquamarine. But that's literally like the only thing I die to in PvP. Everything else I can kind of outmaneuver, stall out, heal. As far as consumables, for people that may not be as experienced or know, hearty meals, your top food, you can constantly pop these for healing. The 20%, 20 second regen there helps. I go through hearty meals a lot because I loot a lot of chests for food. So I kind of always have hearty meals. It's your good budget way of healing through like Outpost Rush if you're doing a lot of those. We've got infused health potions and infused regen potions. So you can kind of, use them however sparingly that you'd like. Gemstone dust is really good right now. You can get this in different tiers. The lower ones are cheaper, but they're all pretty good. These help against elemental damage. It's like a short burst of elemental resist. Again, good for the ice mages. There's also oak flesh balm for some of your premier and richer members of the world. I like never use these really, but you know, in like a war scenario or something, you can increase absorption. These are really good, and these are only the tier 3 ones. These go up to like 35%. So you have your options there. Melee doesn't give me as much an issue because Hammer's really good at kind of holding them up. I don't have as much gameplay here prepped as I would like. I quickly went through yesterday's stream. I kind of grabbed a couple scenarios just to kind of showcase some stuff. I will do videos as well, post some like fights. If you'd like to see more of this, and I can kind of link them down below. So if you watch this like a week or two after this video comes out, hopefully we've got some highlight videos too that kind of shows some stuff. Kind of threw this one in slow-mo here. This was just an outpost rush, just an example, like grouping people. These guys are coming in. I told them to just wait, let them come in. Like you're rolling a fight, there's kind of in a larger fights, there is kind of the front line, the more aggressive players. And then you obviously have like your mages and healers behind. A lot of time as this build, you want to focus on the mages, that back line. If the front line's either like too aggressive, like there's two ways of handling this. If you can group a front line or the front line is very thin, you go for the back line. If they have a pretty solid front line though, you can try to get the front line to bite, which is kind of what this scenario is. Because most of the times I would be going right now for that back line on the right. But these guys are just kind of overcommitting, and their back line, see like their healers and stuff are moving into their front line. So just say wait for them, which I did. I waited till they noticed me, and then they did. You know, and you kind of go in. There's your gravity well. All right, this is pulling people so they can't escape from this. We're going in, we're doing the big AoE, which is going to slow them, increase the damage they take, lower the damage they do. All in one go, not to mention it's stunning them, right? And at this point, like, there's another guy in here. He's more of a similar spec to me, but more damage. He's doing the Maelstrom to sweep them in. But in conjunction with the Ice Mage, like, you know, they're already dead. Like, but it's just a matter of kind of positioning and, I mean, that's a lot of larger scale fights can go that way. You know, being able to get in the right position to hit that gravity well is big. But yeah, following that up, I mean, right there on this guy, I should just kind of walk through, like, I don't know, just general stuff we're doing. Like this guy, we're just obviously going applying pressure, but here we go. We hit this dude with Path of Destiny again. Why? Because it's staggering him and slowing him, so the backline has time to catch up. I do too. Immediately always swapping back to your axe and putting your crosshairs on the target. Bloodlust, see how it's activated? Only activates if you're targeting them. So you want to make sure when you're an axe user you do that. I immediately reaped him as well, which also applied to slow. His stamina is burnt now. When a target's stamina is burnt, you basically hop forward and then you light attack. That's how you keep leashing in. And that gives me 2 lights. He can't dodge right now because his stam emptied and he has to regen. I hopped again, another light, another light. Now he berserked, so I immediately dodged there because, you know, he's gonna do something. He tried to take a swing. He's gonna run again. He's gonna activate his invulnerability. But this is pretty much what you do with Great Axe. You know, you're kind of leashing. And you want to learn to do that little hop and leash. Like, you kind of just hop on the target and light attack and pull. That's what's good about the old Great Axe. And there's another Reap. Let's back up, so. You know, he's dead there. But, again, we're at the forefront. We're kind of initiating fights. At a point when the enemy turns, they're likely hitting us. And, you know, that's kind of what you want. Hitting that guy with the Path of Destiny, that actually interrupted his rapier there. So that's what the Great Axe Rush is going to have next patch. It's going to be able to be, it's not going to be unstoppable. Right now it's unstoppable, but so players will have to adjust to that next patch. But yeah, there's a Mist Grab well, there's Old Slay is a good mage. And that's primarily what we're going to try to do is deal with healers and mages, good ones. I should probably get on that guy, but I know Slay's lighter, so I'm going to go for him. But there's an example of that. Figured I'd show some war. I just kind of... I don't know, actually, I didn't really review this part of it. I just kind of would grab something in the middle of this. But war's pretty straightforward, and we're kind of doing the same thing a lot in wars. We're setting up fights. We're doing what we just did kind of constantly on a grand scale. And I'm leading these, so I'm kind of making calls. I'm kind of half watching what I'm doing and half watching what I think the enemy's doing. But again, making use of hops, pitching a grav well in here, hopping into the pile. That's what you want to learn to do with the hammer. You hop in, like you leap in and then jump up and stun. And that's what we did, and then we pounded that one, taking some good damage. Path of Destiny to heal is my option. I'm looking for a good target to not only interrupt, but it just healed me right there, which is, you know, what you want. Immediately glue into a healer here. Uncle Giz is getting the treatment. This pile they have is kind of getting smoked here, but this is kind of our front line of the axe and hammer doing stuff, and mages in the back assisting off good setups. So, you know, oops, it's kind of a that's kind of how it goes. A lot of times here. Let's roll this back a little. Let's see how we got into this fight. This looks like a flag hit, so this is probably a good example. You'll do this a lot in war. Enemy's pushing a spot. We're initiating the fight. And I'll even call it... let's put on our volume a little so you can hear. And this is kind of how it goes.
Go for it.
Coming in now. I will.
So we're pitching away. In this case, everyone's there.
They're focusing turret.
They got hit with a lot of. They got hit with a lot of ice. They got hit with everything.
Toes, I got it.
We're down the road.
And then we're immediately jumping. We're getting in the faces of the range. We're lining up fights. Right there, the shockwave stun. Like I rendered 2 targets. Leap, dodging into them. The AoE stun applies all the debuffs. Immediately following up with the other hammer. Before their stun even fades, I'm knocking them back down and kind of lining it up for the next people that come in. You get low, you hop out. Potted ourselves up there. Hopping around, ready to Path of Destiny heal if needed. We're back at full. We're back to our job. That's kind of how you do it. There's Sequisha Dyson sewing up with the rapier. But that's kind of it. And you can use this thing in PvE just fine to get through all the content. I've done it all. The beautiful sounds of Shattered Mountain. I can kind of show a little. And these are like forts and Shattered Mountain. Just kind of how you can keep yourself running, and again, you have in PvE you can AoE pretty well with this, so even harder stuff. You just got to keep moving, See if we can get. Looks like someone might have killed some of these mobs, but. Beautiful. So we'll do a little heavy. We'll wait for the other guys to come. The heavy reap. Heavy reap is what I like. In PvP, that's usually like the burst, so to speak. If I can catch someone's back. Like having these mobs here, kind of do the little hop leap. Do a heavy attack into a flatten. Immediately jump behind. Heavy attack reap. And for PvP that works. PvE it works as well. If you have other people interrupting the stuns, a little different. But with flatten, that little stun won't get interrupted. That's part of why I like the flatten. It's been very useful for focusing down these like Omega healers too. It gives just a little more interruption to them. So we'll just do another like little set of mobs or something here. See if there's more around. Yeah, somebody just came through here a minute ago. So a lot of mobs are dead. Unfortunately, because I can usually pull like 10 or 12 of these things. But again, we're going to stun. Heavy attack into the flatten. Jump behind. Heavy attack, reap. And right there, we delivered a lot of damage. You can do a heavy attack into your dash and immediately right-click it as well for damage. And remember, Path of Destiny is good as a heal, too. So, like, you can kind of deal with larger groups just like that. And now as things come up, I kind of go back in and I could do the same thing again. Stun again, heavy attack, flatten. You know. And you can deal with a lot of, you know, a lot of AoE with that. And not much is like, I don't even know what is resisting slash. Slash is a good baseline across the board. So, but yeah, I think that pretty much it gives a good overview. Kind of what you should be doing, frontline initiating. I'll try to do some more gameplay. Try to get some outpost rush clips and things put together. And then, aside from that, any updates will be on the site. Feel free to post any questions. I'll try to get to them. If you made it to this far in the video, God bless. We will be doing more videos too. I'll be working on other weapons as I level up all the skill lines here. Kind of getting back to doing build videos and stuff. I'll make different role purpose videos. So, hope you guys enjoy it. It's a good one.